Hello and welcome back to another episode of Project Oarai. Now, I know what you're thinking, what's going on? It's Wednesday, we've got an episode, what's going on with that? Well, basically, a while back, maybe like 1 or 2 episodes ago, I think it was my last episode, I mentioned that I'd got myself a capture card and a load of other stuff, and I finally managed to fix my OBS from freezing. And the episode before that was basically an episode of a load of footage together that was collected from when I was having all the crashes and the problems. And I figured it was just best to just get rid of all that footage now so we can start afresh and never have the problem again. And touch wood, we haven't had the problem again. But I had totally forgotten that in another folder that I have labeled beach stuff, that I actually was recording a beach episode at the time at expansion along the main motorway. I suppose it's not really much of a motorway at the moment, but one of the main roads that leads off of the main highway that then comes into the city. At least that's going to be my hope in the long run. But I'd forgotten that I'd completely stopped recording this because the problem was that severe. I literally couldn't go through 1 or 2 minutes without it crashing or having the crashes or the freezing. So I figured rather than dumping this footage, because it's on off, because obviously it was when I had the crashes. Sometimes I didn't know it had crashed, so I'd carry on building and so on, as you've probably heard me moan multiple times. So I figured I might as well try and make an episode out of it, even if it's not going to be proper. At least it's something, right? So you kind of get the gist of kind of what we're going to be going for along the beach, rather than me just saying, hey, we're starting a beach episode, ignore all that other stuff that's been built to the left. I didn't really want to do that, so that's what this episode's going to be. It's going to be a mixture of a load of footage put together. As you can tell, actually, right now, this footage here that's looking like it's totally fine, right? This was recorded after, basically. So, as you can see, it's looking real nice. You know, we're not really jumping. We're just building what we need to build, and then we're moving on. So, as for what you're seeing right now, basically, is the old footage, like what I was saying. Before I fix the problem. So I do want to warn you, there are going to be probably a few little bits of time skips. Obviously, unfortunately, like what I've said in the past, there's nothing I can do about it. I was building and OBS crashed. I didn't know it crashed, so there's going to be some jumps every now and then. I am sorry about that, but I just figured it was better to show you this stuff than us just jump into an episode of a load of stuff already built. Because I really want this city to be kind of like everything we see, whether it's something, I'm not going to use the word boring, but something that just, you know, we've seen before. I just want there to be like a recording of the city from start to finish. And now that we've finally fixed OBS crashing and whatnot, I feel like that goal of being able to fully record everything for the city is finally an achievable goal, and I'm really happy about that. And there is also one other thing. I was worried a few days ago. I was talking with a friend of mine, maybe seeing if he had any ideas of what was the problem. But every time I tried to unpause the simulation in the City Skylines, my CPU would go to 100%, and slowly but surely the recording software and everything else would just kind of lag a little bit due to it, which makes sense. You know, it's not the recording's fault or anything like that. It was something to do with the game. Now, if you'll remember when I first started doing the city, I built the mall/train station, and I really wanted for the cinematics loads of like people to be walking around to make it look like it was busy. So I used these blocks, they're called residential blocks, to basically spawn like 40,000 people in and around the city centre, so you'd see them walking around, using the stairs, going to work, using the transport systems, all this type of stuff. I hadn't realised until a few days ago, which it turned out to be a good thing, because I went through my mods list. I freed up like 10 gigs. I know, I'm actually proud of myself. I've freed up some space to now clutter with more stuff. So we're really good on the memory side on the game right now. The game limits we're really good on as well. We're not even touching the halfway point yet. So we're sitting good right now. Anyways, let's get back on topic before I start rambling about things that I'm probably going to forget midway through talking about. Basically, after spawning all these residential blocks in to spawn the people in to make it look busy, after that, I deleted the blocks because I no longer needed the blocks. And to be honest, I didn't need 40k people kind of taking up the FPS, because it took up maybe around 7 or 8 FPS in the game, which doesn't seem like much, but when I'm building, and you can see a lot, I only have about 30 to 20, if that. So it was really shaving off quite a bit. So I deleted the blocks. I left the game running in the background while I went to go and cook some food, and I figured by the time I get back, all the people will have left the city and it'll have been fine. And that is what happened. But I didn't realise, but all the... And I'm kicking myself because at the time I didn't record it because I was kind of in... Just... I do this thing where I load it into the game sometimes and I'll think, okay, I'm not really in the mood to build anything. I don't really feel like I'm in a creative mood right now. So let me just go through, find it, look at assets that still have a 0 written next to them, which means I haven't placed them, and see if I really want them still. And that's how I go about getting rid of some assets passively in the background, if that makes any sense. And it wasn't until I thought, you know what, I kind of want some cinematics at nighttime of some of the alleyways that I've built. And I zoomed into this alleyway and immediately I had like 5 to 4 FPS and my camera lagged everywhere, and I thought, whoa, what is going on? And it turns out that 40k people that I thought had left my city had, because it says it said in the bottom right, like right now it's old footage, so it says like 6.6 population. But at the time, because it's up to date, it says about 9 to 10k population, which is normal. But I found about 40k people stuck on this pedestrian walkway, stood still, not moving. And because all the pedestrians are stuck on top of each other, the lag when because obviously they've got idle animations when they're stood still, it was so bad. So basically, I deleted the pedestrian road, and immediately when all the pedestrians like got off on top of each other and started to actually find the nearest road to leave, my game was like, whoa, we've just gained like 10, 15 FPS, what's going on? And my CPU, I kid you not, it went from like 100% to 26, almost at the click of a finger. As soon as I deleted this pedestrian path, gone. Everything was totally normal again. So I am going to have to keep an eye on this, because I do plan on using these residential blocks in the future again to kind of fill the city out, if you will, because obviously I make a lot of buildings PO and I stretch them and I move them to make different shapes out of them to fit the spaces that I have. And I really don't want to come into this this problem again, where the pedestrians get stuck on the footpaths. I have no idea what caused them to get stuck on the footpath, by the way, because I tried like shaking the footpath, if that makes any sense. I basically just tried to like bend it and curve it to try and get them to move, and they were having none of it, so I had to like force delete it and then re-put it back, and it's totally working now, but I have no idea what caused it. It's a really strange bug. All I can think of is maybe they were all exiting one way, and because there was so many leaving at once, the game kind of didn't know what to do. I'm not really too sure, but yeah. Anyways, that is my little whinge about that. Now, I do actually want to talk about this episode, because normally I don't talk about my episodes a lot, to be honest. I kind of just have a little whinge about what's going on, and I just kind of call it a day, because sometimes I don't really know what to say and all this type of stuff. But I am wanting to not move away from the city. Don't get me wrong, we're still carrying on with the city, but I want to flush out this beach side. So for the next couple of episodes, they're going to be beach related. I want to build along this main road going in, and then we're going to come outwards from the main road towards the beach, because there's no pictures right now, but after this episode, it's going to be this Saturday's episode. I don't have enough time to get one out on Friday like I normally do. I just don't have the time at the moment, so it's going to be a Saturday episode. But I'm going to have some pictures and some Google Earth, and I'm going to kind of talk over what I want to build. And obviously we have the new Japanese content creators pack for the railway stuff coming out, and I'm really hyped to get using that stuff and get it into the city, because I was going to make my own train station for the beach out of PO myself, but I've seen a really nice one on the content creators pack that is just going to fit along the seafront. Well, I say along the seafront, it's not really much of a seafront. It's kind of just actually on the beach itself, kind of. And it's just going to look absolutely perfect there. I've already PO'd it and had a little look, and yeah, it's going to fit there really nice. But before I actually started to have these problems of OBS doing really weird stuff, this episode was going to be kind of me testing out different ideas. You'll have seen earlier in the episode that I've kind of played around with different heights. So the main road is actually higher, and then you drop down to, I'm going to call it just above where the beach height is going to be, because I plan on having this really curvy footpath with some stairs attached to it, really wide stairs that then lead downwards onto the beach, and it's going to be like this nice little curved out pattern across the beachfront. So we're actually working with multiple heights, like you'll see, for example, right now, if this is all gone to plan, that you'll see that the houses for the main road are actually higher than the houses behind them. They're actually on a lower standing. And this was, like what I said, just me trying to play around with the idea to see how it would work, because I've done a lot in the past where I work on one level and I kind of just call it a day. I've never really felt comfortable working with heights and all that type of stuff. I think it's something to do with my OCD, to be honest. I look at some things and I'm like, okay, they've got to match up perfect, they've got to be in line with each other, and I think in certain situations that type of stuff looks really nice. But I feel that if I do that for everything in the city, it's gonna look what am I trying to I want it to look realistic, but I don't want to go like super hardcore on the whole realistic aspect of it, because that would open the door to doing one-for-ones, and I don't feel comfortable doing one-for-ones, to be honest. I like to kind of do one-for-ones and then add my own little spin on it, because I just don't feel confident doing a one-for-one. I don't feel confident in myself doing a one-for-one, let's just put it that way. But I feel like the city, with how big it's going to be, and I don't want it to look copy and paste, I feel like it needs these deviations, if you will, of, okay, it doesn't line up perfect, it looks like, you know, because there's kind of a beauty, if you will, in stuff that is out of shape and looks like, I'm trying to think of how to word this. I really am. Basically, I just think that there's kind of a beauty in something not being perfect. That's the only way I can kind of phrase it without kind of sounding absolutely crazy. But yeah, I want the city to have a little bit more of a... like, stuff's out of shape and it's out of shape and it still looks good. I don't want to... because I feel like the first stuff that I built for Project Oarai is... it's very military in a way. Like, everything's a square and everything's in line and everything, you know, it's not really got a personality to it, if you get where I'm going. And I'm going to drop this anyway, because I don't know where I'm going with this right now. I'm kind of thinking as well, because we can literally spend, with how big the city is, I could probably spend at least a year or two just kind of filling it out with one episode a week. And I obviously want the city to progress kind of at a decent rate, if you will. So what I'm thinking of doing is kind of what I did in this episode here, where the beach parts are that long and that big that I think for generic buildings and just normal buildings, I'm going to kind of place them in off camera, move them out of the way, and then when I start recording, we just drag over the buildings and then we start detailing them and stuff like that. Because otherwise, I can see spending a lot of time on placing the buildings, and then the episode will be like an hour long, something crazy like that, just for a simple beach episode that should just be a couple of houses and, you know, some commercials, some beach themed stuff, all this other type of stuff. And I really am going to struggle to kind of fit it into an episode and have cinematics for it if I don't try and cut a corner somewhere in a way. Otherwise, we're going to spend like 10 minutes placing houses, 20-30 minutes detailing, and then obviously you've got all the other stuff that you do with detail. I'm just not too sure. I'm really trying to think of like what I can do that just doesn't take away quality away from the episode, because I'm looking at these beach sections and kind of what needs to be done. And I really, if anything, made the beach longer than it should have been. And there's that many roads connected to it now and highways connected to it that if I start to try and reshape stuff, it's going to throw all the other stuff off. So I'm obviously not going to do that, because that would just be a whole lot of work to just try and resize some stuff and change it. So I think, depending on how I feel or kind of what you guys say, if you don't like the popping in of stuff all the time, I've had no one say anything yet about the popping in of stuff, so I imagine the majority of you are kind of cool with it, because I've mentioned this in the past and no one's really said anything. So I think we'll just do that and play it by ear and just kind of see what happens. Okay, so we're kind of close to the end of the episode now, and I've kind of babbled, rambled, all that lovely stuff, talked about a lot of stuff, and so on. I do want to mention that I have actually selected 4 names for the city that I'm not going to be announcing in this episode, but I'm going to be announcing in the next episode. So we're going to have 4 to pick from, and I will say it was so hard to select the names for the city, because I know one of you in the comments section by the name of the Lone Saiyan Warrior recommended picking a name that kind of has something to do with the overall theme of the city, which I think was a great idea. And I have kind of tried to go along that baseline when selecting the name for the city. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to on Saturday. I'll definitely be looking forward to reading the comments of what you guys think about the 4 names that I've selected. and see overall what your feedback is on it. But I think as for now, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great day. And like always, I'll see you all in the next one.